Yo, what is up, everyone? Austin Smith here with our editor-in-chief at HoopSeen.com, Justin Young, and we are back for another episode of Just a Minute. And JY, man, we are getting closer to the event season again, brother. I mean,
Yeah.
high school ball for the month of June is wrapping up. Man, July's on the way. But let's stay in the midst of June, man. We've got some big-time coverage. We know you had an event in Arizona, man. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Section 7. What's good, JY?
Yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, it was amazing. It was 2 weekends, and as is the case for the live period, there were 2 different weekends where college coaches can come back out. Section 7 did it big in the opening weekend, laid down 12 courts at State Farm Stadium where the Cardinals play in the NFL. Really tremendous opportunity for college coaches. Over 400 college coaches were in the building, the first chance they could get the premier event here in the West. I was there for both events. Last weekend, we had it at Brophy College Prep in Phoenix as well, which were the finals. So the way they set it up is you had all the games happening that first weekend. They had different champions that played into a different bracket, if you will, for the next weekend. So it was just a really good continuation for teams in the West Coast. Really had teams. They had teams from Minnesota, teams from Texas, all up and down the West Coast, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico. Tremendous. Colorado, tremendous event. So yeah, I saw a lot of things, but more importantly, Austin, it was so good to have college coaches back in the building for the first time in 18 months. And they came with a force. Not only they come with a force here in Arizona, but they came with a force, as we know, back in Georgia. They came with a force in Tennessee. They came with a force in Carolina. They're in Alabama. I mean, you could feel the energy picking back up with the way the games were played. It was just a different energy. I was excited to see all the coaches back again. And I just think basketball is better when we're in this type of setting. And it was really good to see like a reset button get pushed. And we got back to business, man. Feel like we're back to business in totality now.
Man, it's awesome to see, man. I know college coaches enjoy being able to be there. Listen, there's nothing like a live period event. And there's nothing like having the opportunity as a player, as a travel coach, or even as a parent to be in the stands and witness that, man. So I know everybody was glad to get back to some normalcy.
Yeah, and it was important too, I think, because what college coaches were able to do were to corroborate what they saw on film and to go out there and watch. And I think sometimes the film looks better than reality, right? And so I think it was a good heat check a little bit too on the good and the bad for college coaches to say, okay, well, we offered this guy, man, he's better than we thought that he was, or hey, we were looking at this guy and the film was really good. It was a good opportunity for us to evaluate in totality and to sit, on the sidelines and see him. How does he interact with his teammates? How is his communication during the timeout? Like those are the types of things that I think that you don't get in film and you don't get in live streams. You got a chance to really see that. So that was really, really good. But nevertheless, the best part about it, Austin, the ball was fantastic.
Wow.
The ball was really, really good. And you could tell that energy that carried over from the excitement with the recruiting to what we saw on the court.
Yeah. And another thing, one thing we've been talking about too, JY, is again, now players have that chance to let this springboard into July. And I think a lot of players really boosted their recruitment, and we'll see how that transfers, man, into the AAU season, travel season coming up in July. But let's go back to that Section 7 event again, JY, because it was hot. I mean, you saw it all over Twitter. I did, even being on here in the East Coast, and great basketball, like you said. But let's go through some superlatives, man. Sure. Let's do best team. Who'd you see out there at the Section 7 event?
Best team I saw at Section 7 by far was Corona Centennial out of Southern California. Tremendous team. Wow. When we have all the top 25 rankings come out for the high school season, Corona Centennial will be on all of them. They've had a tremendous summer. It's funny. I saw them a lot during the season. So California was different. They had their season really delayed. But you had a handful of teams from California that would come here to Arizona. They would play in the Border League up in Salt Lake. Right. I guess I was here. Sorry, but Corona played. I think I saw them. So I don't know. I've been all over the place and seen Corona all over the place, and that's kind of my point. They've been out and they've been competing whenever they could, wherever they could. Right. And I think it set the stage for what they had as a really good high school season. And in this tournament, they end up winning the entire thing, which out of this many teams they had, really tremendous. And out of that group, their guard play, I would put their guards up with any team in the nation. I would put them up with what we saw for Sunrise Christian last year with Kennedy Chandler. I would put them up against AZ Compass Prep with Ty Washington, obviously the IMGs and the Montverds and the Oak Hills and those types of teams. I think Corona Centennial, that group of guards of Jared McCain, Kylan Boswell, and Donovan Dent, that trio, there is as hard to guard as any trio that I've seen in the nation. And they certainly justified that statement by winning this dominant, just totally amazing event. with their play. Any guy could have been the guy. Jared McCain, 6'2", class of 23 guy. And that's the thing. They're all class of 23 or younger for the most part.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, really interesting, right? And so, like, Jared McCain was an absolute flamethrower in every event that I've seen him in. And this particular event, he was so dialed in. I think one game he was hit 7 threes in the first half. He had a lot of coaches there. Tons of head coaches came out and watched him. The entire Pac-12, you had Chris Mack from Louisville came out and watched him. I'm trying to think of who else I saw out there. You had a lot of teams that are out of their area came out of their way to come watch him play, their entire team play for that matter. But Jared McCain, I thought, was phenomenal. If I had to crown an unofficial MVP of the event, I would probably give it to Jared McCain. I thought he was that good. So good that I will probably vote for him in some sort of All-American status along the way. And I think he's a guy that needs to really make a strong case for a top 35 player in the nation. And I think you could say the same thing with his teammate, Kylan Boswell. Tremendous point guard, great feel, never rushed, never rattled. And they had the gauntlet of teams came at him over the last 2 weekends. And I thought collectively those guys, they look the same too, but they got the same hairstyle, the same body type. They're so interchangeable that you don't know who's beating you any chance you get. And I think one wears number 4, one wears number 24. So you know how it goes sometimes, like the jersey gets flopped over. You're like, they look like twins out there. But they're twice as deadly. And Donovan Dent, I think, is going to be a premier mid-major guard that everybody wants to get after. They got a young kid named Aaron McBride. They've got a lot of weapons on this team. But Corona Centennial High School out of Southern California, tremendous showing at the Section 17 camp, and all of their players bought into a team style, but all of their players were able to thrive within that structure as well. So I think that speaks to the talent level and the unselfishness of all those players, but just an absolutely dominant week for that group out of Corona Centennial.
Nice. Well, you mentioned that the guard play from Corona Centennial was amazing, but let's talk about guards, maybe another guard you saw.
Yeah.
That was probably the best guard. Who would that be at that section?
Yeah. Good question. I thought Milos Uzan from Desert Pines in Las Vegas was outstanding. And every time I see Milos play, he gets better and better. Let's rewind it back to last October when we had the HoopSeen West Camp in Salt Lake City. He was one of the players that came there, had a good showing. I don't know if he was one of our top overall performers there, but he had a good showing. Then I saw him again at the Border League. I saw him a lot of different places that he's played. Then he transferred over to Prolific Prep, and I saw them a ton this year in the grind session. I thought he changed the whole dynamic of that team. That team had a tremendous front line. Milos came in. And then again, I saw him at Pangos All-American Camp a couple of weeks ago. I talked about him in our last podcast. And then now he was back with his team. His dad's the coach. He had a lot of guys around him he's familiar with. I thought Milos Uzan looked like probably the point guard in the class of 22 that every Pac-12 team wanted to get involved with if they weren't already. And it was a collection of head coaches at every single game that Desert Pines played. He's the thing with him. Somebody asked me who I was reminded of, or who reminded me of him. And I thought he reminded me a lot of the guards that thrived under Lute Olson back in the day when it was point guard you. Like he was like a Marcus Williams type of player, where he was always steady. He was always good. You knew you could trust him. And he was that type of guard. But I thought he was a guy for me. He was inside my top 150, and then he was inside my top 100. Now he's inside my top 75, and I think he's probably got to move up inside my top 50. So, like, wow. That's the progression that you've seen from him. And I don't even know if it's more of a progression, but maybe more so it's an appreciation comparative to the rest of the class of the guard position. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the more you see players and you're like, you know what? Like, what does he do wrong?
Right.
And it just takes time for you to kind of watch it. But I thought Milos Uzan from Desert Pines in Las Vegas was outstanding at the Section 7 camp.
Man, add him to the list. That's good. Then JY, let's keep moving, brother. Let's talk about big man. Who was the best big you saw?
Throwback, man. Jackson Kohler. Again, going back to our Utah camp we had in October, he was one of the premier guys there. If you followed anything West Coast basketball the last 4 years, you've known Jackson Kohler's name because he's been out there. He's played for a lot of teams. He plays with Bronny on Strive for Greatness on their travel team. But the American Fork Utah big man, 6'8", he's a throwback guy. He reminds me a lot of Kevin Love. Kevin Love is one of my all-time favorite players I've ever covered at the prep level. No one knew how to guard him. He was so unique. He understood angles, he understood how to really box out. He understand positioning, understand footwork. Jackson Kohler reminds me so much of Kevin Love in that regard, where his post moves are tremendous. Absolutely. His passing is tremendous. And it's just like it's a clinic to watch. Nobody knew what to do. And I'm like, we've been watching him do these same pivot moves for like the last 5 years. Like just stand there, but like he just confuses them so much. And American Fork had a tremendous weekend at the Section 7 camp. Ryan Cupp, the head coach, does a great job with that program, and they've certainly played themselves into a position that you have to consider them as probably one of the top 10 teams in the West going into next high school season. They certainly back that statement up with their play. And Jackson Kohler, I think, is a player too that when you look at his recruitment, I know St. Mary's, he took a visit there, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago. Coach Randy Bennett was at all their games, but he's also a guy that's drawn a ton of Pac-12 interest. And you got a lot of other programs from all over the place that have really given a good look. And you can never discount, Utah and BYU, the local schools. For Jackson Kohler. Tremendous weekend. Very steady, and there was a reason why they played for the title game was because of the play of Jackson Kohler.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. His footwork is phenomenal, man. Every
right?
I've seen, jeez.
When you train players, do you show videos of Jackson Kohler for footwork?
Maybe not Jackson. Nothing in the last one, maybe, but not Jackson just yet. But he's definitely one of the guys that I've seen, just by clicking and going through YouTube videos. That's special,
Yeah,
we have that trait.
Total throwback guy.
JY, who's got next? What players did you see that were best next at the event?
Yeah, there's so many good young players. Like I found myself, I think it was on Sunday, where I just finally looked over my notes and I was like, man, there's just nothing but 23 and 24 players on my list of guys that I really liked. And I was really, really impressed. The West Coast has a really good wave of next coming through. I think we have to I'll go with the younger guys last. I thought Jamari Phillips out of Modesto Christian was really, really good. Really impressive young player, 6'2", combo guard. Love the way he shoots. I love the way he gets his feet in position. He's not the athlete that Keon Johnson is, but he has a little just you can trust him to play multiple positions in the backcourt and be really effective. Can really, really shoot. Has a really good feel, really good ball handler, great explosion. I think he's going to be a guy that when we talk about some of the best players in the country in the class of 2024, I think he's going to be right there at the top as a guy that can really do a lot of great things. Tremendous weekend for him. I thought he was one of my favorite young guys in the entire camp, the entire weekend. So the state of Arizona is interesting because a lot like Florida, maybe, 15, 20 years ago, we started to have all these charter schools or these private Christian schools popping up. And when you went from just like a handful of programs to now there's an entire league and there's schools all over the place. Arizona is very similar in that. And so with that, you don't have a lot of homegrown players that have come through. They're guys that have moved here from different places. What's interesting about the who's got next here in the state of Arizona, you've got some homegrown guys that are going to be really, really good. Two of them came to mind. Koa Pete from Perry High School. I saw him a ton on the Made Hoops platform. Our friend Chad Babel and his group would do a tremendous job with the young players. I went over a lot of their events this year here in Phoenix and saw him play. So it's nice to see him kind of graduate up to the high school level and to see sometimes it's a hard transition because you can be the biggest fish in the smallest pond. Then you transfer over to the high school stuff. It's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new battle. It's a whole new physicality. It's the quickness and the speed. And Koa Pete out of Perry. Perry's one of the best teams, really in the West. Has tremendous players around. We've got Dylan Anderson going to Arizona. He's got Cody Williams, a guy that we're going to read about on HoopSeen this week. I think one of the fastest risers on the West on their team. But Koa Pete, 6'7". There's a chance that I don't believe in ranking freshmen. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But if you Google that and you look for it, you could probably find Koa Pete probably number one overall in the nation on some of these lists. Tremendous prospect. Good to see him in the setting. He looked like he fit right in. He looked like he fit right in last 3 weeks ago, I guess it's been now, at the Penglis All-American camp, but he was tremendous. You're going to read about him a ton on HoopSeen over the next 4 years by the time he graduates. Also, so Dayron Holmes, a guy that I love. He's at AZ Compass Prep going to Dayton. I know you love him. He's an interchangeable, can step out and shoot the three, can block a ton of shots. His younger brother just turned 14. Cameron Holmes. He's a class of 2025. He's at Millennium High School. You're going to hear a ton about him long term. I think he and Koa Pete are going to be really interesting because you have two of the premier young prospects in the nation that are right here in the city of Phoenix that are homegrown guys. They're not part of the move-in group that are going to these charter schools. Two guys that are from here. That's going to be a fun rivalry. Maybe not so much like, Pistons Celtics kind of rivalry, like that kind of thing back in the day, or the Sixers and Celtics or something. But like a rivalry in the sense that they're going to be competing for that top overall spot. I think I think Cameron Holmes' upside is as tremendous, as good as it gets that there is that I've seen so far. And again, I don't watch a ton of young guys. I don't really think that's super necessary at this stage. But Cameron Holmes did enough to make me like, oh my goodness, this guy's going to be a really tremendous player long term.
Wow. Okay. We'll keep these young fellas in mind, man. You know, it's a good list. And the young guys, like you always say, man, they're the future starters tomorrow. So go keep for sure. Now, this next question.
And the thing too, sorry, like I think it is important to watch some of these top guys because it does give you like a starting point where next time you see them, maybe it's a year from now, like how much is the grade grown, right? Like how much is the game grown for that player? So I do enjoy it in that aspect that I do have a starting point to say, okay, well, no, he was a freshman, like here he is now. Like I think that is important. Like Kevin Durant, like I remember watching Kevin Durant when he was 13, 14 years old. And like I didn't think he'd like at that age, like I'm like, oh my goodness, like all arms and legs. So it is important, I think, to see the trajectory for growth and how do they grow into their game and stuff like that too. So, but really a good group of young players, particularly here in the state of Arizona.
We'll keep it in mind, man. We'll keep it in mind for sure. Last question for you regarding that Section 17 camp.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, JY, because I guess you could say best Arizona team was the best home team, and you're in Arizona now, so I guess like I'm a little biased, you know. But anyways, who was the best homegrown team, the best team from Arizona you saw out there?
Hey man, I'm reading this book called "Be Where Your Feet Are," and I believe that. Right now, my feet are in the state of Arizona, and so that's where I am right now. I know. I still have a hard time saying it sometimes too. But the best team that I saw from Arizona, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is that this camp was put on by the Arizona Coaches Association, and they did a tremendous job. Tons of it, just like our camp that we saw in Georgia. I wanted to give a nod to the local teams that played in this event. Really a good group of teams that came through. And there's a ton of really good talent and good team and good coaching in the state of Arizona. But I thought St. Mary's, top to bottom, had the best weekend and the best showing at the Section 7. And I'm sure I'm maybe wrong, and I'm open for debate on that, whatever. But like I thought they were really, really good from top to bottom. I thought Jason Fontenot had a tremendous weekend. And kid that I've really, if you've read our site, I've raved about him so far. He's does a great job with Arizona Firestorm 1600 team. They won the Battle Zone event in California, I think maybe around Memorial Day or May, maybe. Anyways, really good guard for them. They've got a freshman guard also staying in line with these really good young guys. I guess he's a sophomore now, Miles Stitt, Stitt. Garrison Phelps is another guy. Bear Cherry, a big man down low. His brother Tayshawn plays in college at Arizona State. And so you've got a really good group of guys on that team, and I thought they played the best that I've seen them play so far. They took on some real tough challenges, did a great job. But I thought St. Mary's, if you're looking at the teams from the state of Arizona, tons of great options. But I thought, to me, they were the most impressive team that I saw from the host state at the Section 7 team camp.
Okay, St. Mary's, there you have it. They are the best.
We need to get a Georgia-Arizona matchup. That's what we probably need to do.
Listen, knowing you, it'll happen. If there's money, it'll happen.
Maybe. We got to get that HoopSeen charter, airplane first before we can make that happen.
straight connect.
Yeah, it would help my life out a lot too. That would help for sure.
JY, so we know you were in Arizona, but we had our whole entire gang of staff members here at HoopSeen.com in Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. Man, you want to touch on that for a quick second?
Yeah, our team crushed it, man. It was cool. Like I was sitting there watching one of the games. Actually, I had my youngest daughter went with me on one of the days to the camp. It was cool. So she got to meet a lot of the coaches, and she had a great time doing that. But she had my phone, and she opened up Twitter, and she was like, "Dad, like, you guys are everywhere this weekend." And I was like, "I know, it's so awesome." But when we had Josh Tech and Brianna Patton. I thought they crushed it at the Georgia camp. So much talent. I think the coaches did an unbelievable job on what they did for the course of 2 weekends. And I love what our coverage was. It was awesome. So make sure you follow HoopSeen Georgia, but more importantly, also follow HoopSeen Florida, as Brianna Patton's doing a great job of covering kids from the state of Florida. Really giving that a big shot in the arm for our coverage there on HoopSeen.com. So if you haven't had a chance, also, if you're a college coach and you're watching it, I'd be happy to help you with some backlog stuff. I've got some cheat sheets, really the top 175 players that we thought going into those events in totality, who you need to watch if you're going to go back, watch film with our friends at SUV TV or wherever you're going to watch the film. I know I'm going to be doing that this week. So if you want that, just email me at jyoung@hoopseen.com. Be happy to help you out with that. Or you, of course, you want to read Josh Tech and Brianna Patton's coverage from those two events, again, from Georgia and Florida. We also have some teams from Carolinas. I think we had teams from Alabama. Do we have some teams from Tennessee? I don't think that we did. Nevertheless, we had you covered pretty well over the last 2 weekends over there at Lake Point. North Carolina, our guy Justin Byerly is absolutely crushing it, and he's just throwing flame all over the HoopSeen.com right now. He's got like 4 stories every weekend of the top performers. Nobody knows the state of North Carolina better than JB, and I stand by that to the death. And he's done an unbelievable job on covering that state. So make sure you go check out his coverage. North Carolina is loaded. That's what we need to have, actually, is Georgia versus North Carolina. It's probably more doable in a competitive standpoint. But JB did a great job of covering guys from every level. And that's the thing that I love about team camp. If I can go off on this for a second, there's a variety of players for every level at these team camps. And it's the case for our travel team events too, no doubt about it. But like, there's an opportunity for guys for every level to step up. With that many coaches there, that we really saw a big shot in the arm for, I think, a lot of players to really get a chance to shine. I think JB really shed a lot of light on that with his coverage from the state of North Carolina. Our guy Andre Whitehead's always crushing it in the state of Tennessee. He was out in Memphis a couple weeks ago. He was up, I think the events this past week were in Nashville, so a little closer for him. But we'll have coverage from the state of Tennessee, and of course DC, DeCourtland Christian, crushing it. Our new guy from the state of Alabama, doing a tremendous job on just absolutely killing it. So if you're not following DC on Twitter, DeCourtland Christian, or also follow HoopSeen AL, HoopSeen Alabama on Twitter as well. We've got tons of coverage there. So I think we've done a pretty good job of covering all the team camps in our space. There was a great team camp in Philly Live. I know there was one in the Midwest, but our staff are where a lot of our teams are located in the West and in the South. I thought we did a tremendous job of covering it. And we still have tons of coverage still coming up on hoopseen.com.
You heard, man. Hoopseen.com is where you need to be. That way you don't miss a beat, man. Tons of coverage from all of our incredible staff members. So again, hoopseen.com. Check that out to check out all the information and insight from team camps from these high schools in June. JY, Best of the South week is coming up. Man, I'm
so ready, man. So ready. Are you?
Man, listen, hundreds of teams in the 17U division, 40 courts in the Georgia World Congress Center. Bro, I'm ready. You got
that Red Bull fridge stocked up?
Listen, I'm going to need something. It might espresso, Red Bull. I think, man, the most exciting part about this is you think about what 2019 did as far as changing the game in terms of all the courts on the run roof. We're finally back after a crazy pandemic year where everyone gets to see college coaches on the sideline. Players have the chance to play in front of coaches in June. And right now we're about to hit it back hard, man. I'm so excited for everybody, man. I
am too. I want to talk to the college coaches. If you're still watching, if you're a college coach, like if you're out here in Arizona at Section 7 and you're at State Farm Stadium, awesome. There's 400 of those guys just everywhere. Now that space is huge. To give you some context, we're doing something 4 times bigger than that. Okay. And I'm not saying that to diminish what was done. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying, like, for your ease of use, if you're a college coach at whatever level that you are, it's smack dab in the middle of everything. And so we're literally, like, if you're a college coach and your college staff, we get it. You have really tight budget. Okay. You're trying to maximize your recruiting budget to the absolute fullest. We're 10 minutes away from the busiest airport in the world. We're 10 minutes away where everybody's going to fly into, because you're going to probably go out to Augusta. You're probably going to go up to Northwest Atlanta. You're going to go out to Birmingham. Okay. You're going to have to come through there. And I've told that to every coach that I've seen, like, just come for a day. Just come for a day. And I'm telling you, what you're going to get done in one day, you'll equate that to 4 days on the road. And again, every level from the elite blue blood high majors, okay, because we got some potential McDonald's All-Americans coming into the camp, to guys to the entry level junior colleges. Every level of basketball is going to be represented at the Best of South, and it's something that you're going to always want to make sure that you're at. Listen, we get almost all the teams from the Southeast, okay? But if you're from the Midwest, if you're from the Northeast, if you're from the West, if you're watching this, if you're a college coach, you have to go there. You're doing yourself, and I'm not saying this because I'm totally biased, but you're doing yourself a disservice by not going there. You're gonna want to spend time there, because it's going to be just as valuable as what you just had from a team camp that you went to over the past 2 weekends. And those are tremendous. This is 4 times bigger and better than what you just went through. So I'm not saying that, again, to take away from anything that's been done. I'm just saying you from an ease of use, from a recruiting standpoint, if you're a college coach, you have to come through there and do yourself the due justice of lifting up every single rock to go find some players. And they're there every single year. Like I heard this about a couple of guys. I'm trying to remember what player it was. So it was like, oh, I know it was. It was a player that plays in the Big Ten. And a coach, they got him. He's like he's a legend now at this Big Ten school, and he's a best of South legend too. I don't. If you wanted to be a detective, you can probably figure out who I'm talking about. But like he was like, man, I can't believe we got him at this Big Ten school. Nobody was recruiting him. And in a way, it kind of ticked me off a little bit because I'm like, the kid was like a dominant player at every event that we've ever gone to, and the fact that that nobody was recruiting him, I'm like, man, like that shouldn't have been the case, which I don't think that was the case because I know his recruitment, like a ton of people were recruiting him, maybe not schools from his area, but you had a player that was from the Southeast and ended up going to a Big Ten school that's now like a guy that will always have a job in that city that he went to school in, and he's a legend, and they stole him away because they saw him at the best of South. And it happens every single year. So there are players like that that are just waiting to be seen. And I can't wait to figure out who it's going to be for the players' benefit and for the college coaches' benefit for the programs that they're going to, because those marriages happen on that stage. And I'm really excited to see that. Anyways, enough of my Cinderella stories for that. But I'm really excited. If you can't tell, I know you're excited. Our entire staff is excited. We're going to have probably 600 teams for this event.
Oh my!
They're all going to be in downtown Atlanta. Tremendous opportunity. So if you are a team that's coming, make sure that you're following all of our stuff on HoopSeen.com. Excuse me, our frequently asked questions. I know our guy Daniel Paccioni's done a great job of communicating about the hotels, communicating about where you want to park. It is July in Atlanta. It's going to be hot. Okay. Tons of places to go eat, but it's just a great opportunity for your team and program. And if you've never been to Atlanta, if you're a team coming for the first time, if you've never been, if you got people coming into town, Austin, where are you sending them? Where do you tell them to go check out?
Depends, man. If you want to be tourist, you got the Georgia Aquarium, you got the World of Coke, you got, if you're food, there's so many good restaurants. Doesn't even matter what food you like. They have everything, man. It makes sense, bro. It just makes sense, man. You got to get here. You got to
tons of stuff to do. And if you're a coach that works with young people, it's a great opportunity for you to take your kids to a lot of places that maybe they never get a chance to see. It's a chance to go over to Ponce City Market, go over there, get some food when you have a couple hours in the day. Tons of stuff on the east side of town. So anyways, I'm really excited for people to come see our great city. I still claim it, Austin.
There we go. I'm
not here in Cactus Land, but I still claim it.
Shake that AZ off, man. Shake that off.
I'm trying to, man. It's 113 degrees today. So yeah, I'm trying to shake it off. Trust me. But nevertheless, we're really excited to have everybody come. We're excited that we can be the epicenter of recruiting for that first week of college basketball recruiting in July. And man, I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to see the rest of the team out there as well.
No doubt, bro. Best of the South, Georgia World Congress Center, ATL, 600 teams, 40 courts, one roof. JY's going down, man, and we couldn't be more excited. Hey, man, that wraps up our content for today's episode, brother. Any last comments from you, JY?
No, man, just excited to get back out east with you guys.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Just a Minute. As always, I'm your HoopSeen host, Austin Smith, and the man with the plan is none other than our editor-in-chief here at HoopSeen.com, Justin Young. JY, talk soon, my guy.
Thanks, Austin.